creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Here's something wild happening in the Philippines right now. The FBI are currently looking for the owner of the universe, and they believe that he is hiding underground in the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
What?
Yeah, you see, this is Apollo Kibuloy. He says that he's the appointed son of God and beloved pastor to 7 million people, but authorities say that he's a cult leader and wanted for horrendous crimes. So, take your pick. He's on the FBI's most wanted list for allegedly trafficking women to the US from the Philippines, and local police have been looking for him for months now. But Kibuloy, who was even the spiritual leader for the former president of the Philippines, said that they will never catch him alive. But then, just recently, a staggering 2,000 police raided his Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound, and one of his supporters even died from a heart attack trying to defend it. I mean, this place is so massive that they even have their own events arena that has a higher capacity than Manchester United's stadium. No wonder bro believes that he's the owner of the universe. And using equipment that is believed to be able to detect people behind walls and underground based on their heartbeat alone, police found an eerie secret layer 90 feet underground. Reports claim that they are separated into 3 levels to divide women based on their attractiveness. Now, police haven't found Kibuloy yet, but they still believe that he is hiding somewhere at this massive compound.
You want something wilder? Search Kibuloy basketball highlights.
Sure, James McAvoy may look like a fun-loving, cheerful guy, but wait till you see him in uniform. See, James McAvoy had a problem. He's really good at playing these disturbing roles, as some of y'all probably saw from a movie called Split. Now, he decides to bring this energy to a suspense thriller movie called Speak No Evil. Now, I'm not one for spoilers, but he's the bad guy. Look at his face. So him and his wife invite another family to hang out with them in the country, but it doesn't look like this when he invites them. He looks more like this. The family's thinking, oh, he seems like a pretty nice guy. Let's go on over. He said, oh, I'm a nice guy, all right. They said, huh? He said, yeah, my house is over here. Let me show you the map. The family goes over to his house. They say, okay, this is pretty nice. He pops in. They go, oh, the family wasn't dumb. He started doing weird things around the house. He started popping in looking like that. What you finna do if somebody walks in looking like that? Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Just like the family. See, the thing is, even though your instincts tell you to run, it's very easy for humans to make excuses for someone. Maybe they just got weird smiles. I don't know. Maybe this is how he looks when he thinks. Maybe someone could have a clean suit, be charming, but deep down there's a reason they play those disturbing characters so well. Y'all watch out for James. Really, that's all I can tell you without spoiling the movie. So if you're a fan of suspense thrillers, then check out Speak No Evil, out in theaters September 13th. And shout out Universal Pictures for partnering with me on this video.
I'm so happy to see that this is an ad. I was like, please don't ruin James McAvoy for me.
I found out that a lot of people that have breast cancer and a few different types of cancers, a very common denominator between all of them is rooted based off of a root canal.
Yep, just learned about that the other day.
Wait, root canals and like oral hygiene are linked to having like insane long-term health side effects.
Nice. That's awesome. Actually, great, because I've had 12 root canals in my life. What does that mean?
Someone like that you know has had breast cancer. It's very interesting to find out if they have had a root canal, because they're realizing that a lot of people who've had root canals, or everyone who's like died from certain forms of cancer, majority have had root canals.
Right, but not all of them.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do get root canals.
Yeah, it's just like a strange coincidence, and it has to deal with, I guess, like the oral bacteria in your mouth.
I want to do a root canal because so many of them fail. So what's the point? But who doesn't have root canals these days?
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So you can clone me?
I could clone you. I won't do that because it's illegal, but biologically we could do that. What's important is I can make organs, mini organs from you, and test drugs. And what we're doing in the lab is we have. Yeah. So when you come to my lab, and you have to promise you're going to come, I'll show you. We grow these mini brains in the lab, and we've got them from people that are predisposed to Alzheimer's or not, and we have a way to age those brains so that they're now 80 years old, even though they're only a few months old, and they lose their ability to fire electrically. They become demented in the dish, little mini brains. On Instagram, I've shown some photos of these. They're pretty cute. And so we give them Alzheimer's and dementia in the dish. And then what we do is we have a system to turn on those 3 embryonic genes, OS and K, and those brains go back in age. But here's the cool thing. Alzheimer's goes away. They get the electrical activity comes back. Now we do this in a mouse. We make the mouse older, just let them age out, or we accelerate it. And we've been now reversing the age of those brains in the mice. And you can guess what happens. They get their memory ability to learn back.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but can you move my spirit and soul to my new clone?
There is no democratic president in the world. And I say truly, who is the democratic president? Trump? Obama? Who is here in Britain? We should be clear. Democracy is an illusion. We cannot have democracy in a capitalist, imperialist, patriarchal system, religious system.
Why not?
Because this is, they want money. Because if you remove religion and capitalism and imperialism, then you will have socialism. And then no government will be there, you know. They are afraid of the real power of the people. You cannot have democracy, because what is democracy? Democracy is real freedom.
But if you believe that none of these democracies are democracies, why do the people live with it?
Because people are oppressed. People are not organized. We are prevented from organizing. That's the key point. When I was an individual writer, even if I become famous and star, they allow me, but not to organize. The minute I started to organize women and men, I became a danger. You are not organized here. The people here are not organized.
But nobody is stopping organization here.
But they stop it.
No government is going to come and lock you up or kill you in Britain, are they?
But in a subtle way. I know the American way.
The system doesn't matter. Capitalism, socialism, in any system, the most greedy and power-hungry and ruthless will end up ruling.
Imagine getting an additional 1.5 years in prison because you swore at the judge sentencing you.
Kiss my ass. This is
You know what?
And not only that, but the defendant was only in court for misdemeanor trespassing, which often doesn't even go with prison time. But when the judge decided to set his court date, this happened.
You know what? No. I'm gonna tell you what. You don't come in here. You don't. Okay. That's contempt. That's 93. Keep going. That's another 93. That's another 93. That's another 93. That's another 93.
Yeah, bro got 6 consecutive contempt charges worth 93 days each in prison. And the next defendant in line, hearing the entire thing, was shook.
I just seen how you doing, Your Honor? How you doing, sir?
And yes, that is the exact same judge from the Corey Harris case. This man needs his own show now. So the question is, do you think that the extra prison sentence for swearing was harsh or fair?
I get that, it's a judge, and you should be respectful, but I see it as freedom of speech, and the guy is clearly frustrated. What do you think?
Did you guys see that video of Stacy Dash? She was responding to someone asking her if she smoked crack. She goes, hey, I don't smoke crack anymore. 8 years clean. Congratulations, Stacy Dash. I think we all know Stacy Dash. A lot of movies, always beautiful. Even now, I mean, she's in her 50s and she looks great.
Who?
Skin looks clear, eyes look clear, but something about her looks really off. Hey, I don't know, you tell me, something doesn't look right, because she said she's trying to keep from killing someone.
I just don't want to kill anyone.
Something about Stacey, she has a glaze of crazy. Look at it very closely. You know, something is not right. I mean, this is Stacy Dash, who went to Fox News and was dogging black people, remember? Why should there be a Black History Month? What if there was a White History Month? Hello? What are you talking about, Stacy? Right? So that pissed the black community off. And we kind of ostracized her. And now she's trying to swim back to Black Island. And we're like, no, we're good on that. You know? It's like a habit, you know, that a lot of black people who sell out do. Like Candace Owens. You see, she gets on the Breakfast Club. She wants to get on the Joe Budden podcast. She wants to sing The Fresh Prince with black people. Something is, you know, I don't really like that. We tend to do that. There's a lot of black folks in entertainment and politics that tend to do that, that will shit on black people. I call them B-wicks. You know what B-wicks are? Black when it's convenient. I can't stand those type of people. So, Stacy Dash, hey, something about you doesn't look right. Everybody, just look. Look closely. You look clueless. You know, Stacy Dash is cousins with Damon Dash. I guarantee you, Damon Dash, if he's watching this video of Stacy Dash, you know, he's like, yo, that's not my cousin, man. That's not my cousin. I'm from Harlem. We don't act like that, man. Pause. For real. She's an embarrassment, you know what I'm saying? Everything I built in this business, I don't act like that, man. She's not related to me, man. Pause.
My American friend here said Sipu Asemi Sosa. And what's wrong with Candice Owen? I like Candice.
This is the moment a man was sentenced to 70 years in prison after being found guilty of molesting at least 8 children. Anthony Guadalupe, who worked as a teacher's assistant, had faced between 35 years to 103 years in prison after being found guilty of 16 child sex violations involving at least 8 children. In court, he pleaded not guilty and said, "I was only 18 years old and just came out of high school and had no plans of growing up or having a solid career. At the Chappelle School, I loved my job, getting to see these young kids learn and grow, getting ready for VPK. Working there, I was always showing them that I cared for them and always showing them affection. But I didn't realize that it would be considered anything else. Looking at the video, I understand how it could be considered something wrong, but that was never my intention at all. I thought I was doing my job. However, videos shown in court told a different story as he was shown committing disturbing acts to the young children. He was found guilty and sentenced to 70 years in prison. However, this does not seem like a reasonable sentence as the children will have a life full of trauma. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Now he will be someone's chick in prison.
What is the obsession with reptilians in India? There's a lot of people worshiping reptiles there, huh?
Yep. We worship gods, like our gods are snake-like reptilian gods. We worship nagas. We worship nagas, which are basically reptiles. You know, we have a lot of ancient texts talking about nagas. Not only in India, by the way, the nagas are also called sarpas. They're called sarpa.
Where does nagas come from?
Basically a word that denotes reptile, like a snake, like a serpentine.
Okay.
Like you understand what I'm saying? Like it's called a sarpa in India. It's called a seraph in Israel. It's called a serpent. It's all coming from the same word. From in the Bible, it's all coming from the same word. They're called, you know,
all serpent.
Sarpa, seraph, serpent. It's the same thing. And the naga is basically a shape-shifting reptilian set of gods. And believe it or not, they're considered the origin of human civilization in countries like Cambodia. In Cambodia, according to Cambodian history, this is not even Cambodian mythology. You can literally study this history in the history books of Cambodia. They're saying that their very first queen was Naga.
A serpent woman.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And humans married with the Nagas.
Ew.
And this is understood as like a mythical religion to them, or?
Well, I mean, we believe that it's a reptilian species.
They believe it was real.
Yep, I believe it.
Or you believe it was an ancient reptilian species?
Yep, I believe the Nagas are like an ancient reptilian species that coexisted with humans.
Do we have any evidence that these people existed? Like other than like what is the evidence that we have other than the fact that there's these myths that are written about them and carvings and statues and stuff?
No, I don't think we would have like archaeological evidence of that, if that's what you mean.
I mean, like, yeah, no archaeological evidence of it.
I don't think we'll ever maybe, but I don't think we'll find like skeletons of Nagas, right? If they found them. Right? If they
How would you
them,
be able to tell, right?
Naga means dragon in Indonesia. Ooh. Not a sinkhole, but still scary. There are some type of tunnels under there.
This woman received a $16,000 order from Tesla for 4,000 pies, but was left speechless by what happened next. This is Voa Hangi Rasetrinera. She is the owner of a small bakery in Willow Glen, California. One day, she received a surprising phone call from someone at Tesla. They wanted to order 4,000 mini pies for a Black History Month event. At first, Voa thought it might be a prank. Her bakery is quite small, and she wondered why a big company like Tesla would choose her. After verifying the details and receiving a confirmation email, Voa Hangi realized the order was real. After confirming the $16,000 order, she bought extra ingredients and told her staff they would need to work overtime to complete the large order. However, just as they were finishing up after 5 days of intense work, Tesla called and canceled the order at the last minute. Voa Hangi was shocked and posted her experience on social media. Her story quickly went viral. The next morning, her bakery was flooded with customers supporting her, and everything sold out within a few hours. She even had to close the bakery temporarily just to be able to fill even more orders for the next few days.
At minimum, I'd make them pay a deposit for the cost of supplies prior to accepting the order. But I 100% guarantee we're not getting whole story.
Zuckerberg likely told his team, guys, tell me who's going to win. And it is likely that we can assume that his team said, sir, based on everything we see, Donald J. Trump, based on the billions of lines of data, is going to win. Now, that's not a guarantee, but it's a potential explanation for this bombshell, unexpected letter of contrition from one of the world's wealthiest men and tech titans to Chairman Jordan. It reveals something, that Zuckerberg wants to be on the winning team.
Of course, who doesn't? And he's been hanging around with Joe Rogan and Dana White. I think he's awake now.
Ready to ride and to pay. You might be green. So all these kids are...
Now we got security on the bus to make sure we pay. Pretty much like the subway. Out of New York, going to get cold. Everyone moves into the subway to stay warm,
Ooh.
as we see on a day-to-day basis. And if you think these migrants are going to stay outside in these tents they're now putting up, it's not going to happen.
Oh, look at that.
Everyone is going to move into the subway. All these billionaire row apartments are empty. Billionaires buy them just for an investment, a place to hold and hide their money. And the rent-stabilized apartments are being left empty because landlords don't want to spend the money to renovate. Like they put up scaffolding and don't repair the building. It's cheaper to leave this up because they can crack down on the puff spots, but not the illegal vendors, or giving people heat and stop using these trucks. So this are not problems, but me not paying $290 is an issue.
Aren't they going to lose money hiring security to make sure people pay?
Stanley Cup theory, cups all the white girls bring around everywhere. Yeah. You know how Stanley Cups, that's a huge trend. You know why they're trending? Why? Because of this one video that happened on TikTok of a woman in a car that was burned to fire. Burned, it was set aflame. Yeah. But the Stanley Cup was in the center console.
No.
Fire yesterday. Still has ice in it.
Didn't melt.
Still have ice in
anything, and ice cubes were still inside the Stanley Cup.
That's kind of that person, and you use that as advertising.
They didn't. It was just like a car like set of flames, right? But theory goes that viral TikTok with the woman explaining that stuff was the marketing. Shane Dawson actually tested it. They took a Stanley Cup, put some ice in it, threw it in a fire pit. Bro, within like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it was melting. Yo, they opened it up, it's water.
So the whole time,
the whole thing was fake, bro. The whole thing was fake.
You marketing.
This is awesome marketing. Mind blown.
I said, is the guy who wrote monkeys on my receipt, is he available? I want to talk to him.
No, sir, I can't have you speak to him right now.
Is he still here?
He's leaving.
Okay. I'm going to make sure that this video goes viral. But this is unacceptable.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that had to happen.
So I just want to make sure, I got you on camera too. So him putting down monkeys.
That's crazy, man.
Would you feel offended by that?
Yes, I understand, yes, I would.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what's going to happen from here? Is he going to be terminated?
So I'm going to give you my store manager's, our general manager's number. So
Okay.
you can give her
I'll do that.
Put the phone down. Look, man, it says Kayla at the bottom. Kayla or Layla? Kayla.
About 2,000 people storm in.
and they storm into RG car near the protest, and they destroy the hospital. Many doctors, healthcare workers shared the sentiment of netizens, which is, she was our sister. We cannot let her blood be wasted. Groups have rallied on the streets to peacefully protest. They called it Reclaim the Night. They marched shoulder to shoulder, and this is the eve, the night before India's Independence Day. Hundreds of doctors took to streets with signs, justice delayed is justice denied. No safety, no duty. Let doctors heal, not deal with violence. We want justice. Doctors save lives, let's save theirs. One doctor said, it's a girl who has been raped and murdered in her own safe space. This is not okay. So first, it starts with this candlelit protest by women and men, all holding candles, protesting, seeking justice, demanding answers. Young people seeking answers from the government. There were candles everywhere. Until there weren't. About 2,000 people storm in, and they storm into RG car near the protest, and they destroy the hospital.
2,000 people?
There's not a direct number. It seems to be about 2,000. Some reports say anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 men, primarily, come in, they break up the protest, storm into the hospital, smashing chairs, tables, breaking windows, flipping over police cars, ransacking the entire emergency department of RG car. It's really bad. Literally nothing is left unturned. Everything is smashed. Police come in, they tear gas the whole place. The mob destroys the emergency department, the back staff rooms, the changing rooms for nurses, the pharmacy. They also destroyed a big portion of the seminar hall where the crime took place, allegedly. Almost all the CCTV cameras were broken. Now, this is where it gets weird. Who are these people?
Yeah.
What are they doing? It doesn't even make any sense. Many netizens believe it wasn't an effort to destroy evidence.
In India, women are not safe. They are essayed and nothing is done. God protects the women there.
You have a job. You're under total control of the masters of the enterprise. They determine what you wear, when you go to the bathroom, what you do. The very idea of a wage contract is selling yourself into servitude. These are private governments. They're more totalitarian than governments are.
But they can't legally murder you or imprison you.
They can't legally murder you, but they can control everything that you do. Okay?
Well, again, the right-wing libertarian argument would be, well, you're free to leave at any time.
Yes, you're free to starve. That's exactly right. You have a choice between starving or selling yourself to a tyranny. Very libertarian. The right-wing libertarians, whatever they believe, are actually deep authoritarians. They're calling for subordination to private tyrannies, the worst kind of tyrannies.
No one wants to be hungry. So what is the solution?
We all know healthcare in the US is super broken. This is a fascinating application of AI where this woman is using AI to help you fight health insurance denials. I didn't know this, but health insurers reject about 1 in 7 claims for treatment. And even though you can file an appeal, doctors often just don't have time. They're swamped with other stuff. And you as a consumer, you don't know how to do it. It's a lot of paperwork. It's complicated. Fight Health Insurance. It's an open source platform that takes advantage of AI to help you generate health insurance appeals. And she has done this herself. And so she is experienced and she knows how it works, how to navigate it. The slogan is make your health insurance company cry too. And the whole premise is that many health insurance denials can be successfully appealed. You just need to know what to write, how to do it, who to send it to.
This is the correct use of AI, finally.
Russia's advancing quickly in eastern Ukraine, and they're on the verge of taking a strategic city, but some Russian analysts think it's a trap. There's concern on the Russian side that this is happening way too fast, that Ukraine is too quick to announce withdrawals, that something else must be in the works. Now, turning to Russian media here, starting with the Telegram channel Vernum Regnum, they say, quote, could this really be the collapse of the front that we've been waiting for so long? I would like it to be so, but experience does not allow this thought to take hold of my mind. There is some kind of catch here, and we're not the only ones who think so. Another mill blogger here, Yevgeny Norin, added, quote, it is known for sure that the Ukrainian armed forces have several very not battered, more or less decently equipped units in the rear, 5 brigades. If they do not throw everything that moves into the battle near Pokrovsk, it means that A, they intend to introduce reserves somewhere else, and B, they must produce some kind of devastating effect faster than the front in Donbass collapses. which is a pretty valid point. I mean, we've got a couple Ukrainian military units at this point that we know exist and are essentially unaccounted for. They were not sent into Kursk, and they haven't been pushed down to Pokrovsk. So what's the plan for those guys? Another mill blogger added to this, Ilya Jansen, said, quote, I don't like the fact that the Ukrainians are retreating so easily in the Donbass, and is also shouting at the top of his voice about his failures and that Kursk was simply a distraction from other directions. In those areas where we are now successfully advancing, the Ukrainians are literally surrendering key city to us. But it seems the enemy has resigned itself to military defeat and decided to act in a slightly different way. If I am right, they will concentrate not on defending their territory, but on inflicting increasingly painful blows on us, both by military and terrorist methods. In general, I'm not as happy as you guys. Over the years, I've already learned not to underestimate the enemy. So again, as we see continued Russian advances in the East, there are more than a few voices inside of Russian media right now very nervous about how this is actually playing out.
What is the plan, but also the point? Why are they still fighting? It's crazy. So, magnesium gluconate works great for me. I sleep like a baby.
I don't know if you heard, but they confiscated $5 million worth of meth in these watermelons coming from Mexico to California. Okay? They tried to get some meth to California and they got stopped and got caught. Okay. Now, hiding drugs to get it across different borders has been around for a long time. Sometimes they would do it in fish. Sometimes they would put it up their sometimes up their you know, those drug mules. Sometimes they would swallow so they can them out. They've done this for a long time. Now, if you didn't see what the watermelons look like, I understand why they got caught. Guys, that doesn't look like watermelon. That looked like watermelon gift wrapping. That's what it looked like. It looked like a bunch of basketballs wrapped in watermelon gift wrapping or wallpaper. What the y'all thinking? And you know those officials. Okay, guys, explain your watermelons with the meth in it, okay? they actually don't look like watermelons. Nope. And you know these Mexican dudes probably, they were like, yo, say, hey, what's wrong with our watermelons, man? You're trying to be racist? Those are real watermelons. Those are Mexican watermelons, okay? Watermelon, okay? They're just shorter, okay? Say, vato, listen, just let us go through. Why you gotta look in there? How do you know there's drugs in there? No drogas, okay? We're healthy. Talking about. That's pretty good Mexican, dude, right? You think all Mexicans sell drugs, huh? Un momento, muchacho. All right? All right? This can get really peligroso. So just calm down. Tranquilo. Okay? I took Spanish in high school, so I know how to relate to this crap. I'm just saying it looks a little suspect. That's all I'm saying, amigo. Relax, muchacho. Relax.
You know, they send the obvious ones so the real packages can get through.
So a lot of you have asked me about Elon Musk. Yes, for sure. Without a doubt. He is an alien, incarnated here as a human, and he's got a huge mission to play out at this time. Yeah, he's socially awkward. He's on the spectrum. A lot of aliens are. And he definitely comes across as a dick sometimes, but you cannot deny he is one of the most brilliant minds of our time. I think the real question with Elon Musk is, what side is he playing for? Now, I've had a hard time getting close to his energy and really reading his contracts. What I've deduced so far is that he hasn't yet chosen a side, which can be looked at as a good or a bad thing, but what I know for sure is that he's moving us forward. Once again, it's got to be in the appropriate way. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't trust Elon, especially where their chips in the brain are concerned.
You guys see those planes that fly through hurricanes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude, no. It was a 10-hour flight and they like pass through the eye like 6 times, so they just like fly in, fly out. And dude, they're like just chilling like this with all their computers and stuff, and it's like
Oh my gosh.
I would never do that.
An airplane has not crashed from turbulence in so long in America.
Well, now it's
like,
gonna happen.
Well, no.
No, but yeah, turbulence does freak me out.
You know, it's not really bad until like there's like a few like ladies who just go, you know, like it's like, okay, and then you're like, that's a good one.
You start getting afraid when the flight attendants are looking afraid.
Yeah.
Like, because typically the flight attendants are just like on their phone, just like,
or they're literally chatting and laughing or something.
Yeah. But that's like when we were on the
they
flight to England.
They strapped into their emergency
and
seat.
they're like,
oh no.
And they're like,
Sit down! Sit down right now! You want to die?
We're dying.
But they did it with a British accent.
Yeah.
Do you have a death wish? Do you want to die?
That's funny.
Well, that's
no,
one way to get
don't
yourself
do
an
that.
additional 10 years in prison. It's also another way for the cops to mess with you
What
the
is-
rest of your time in prison.
What is that thing on your forehead, bro?
This is how it works. There's cops and there's inmates. And they do everything in their power to try to get one over on the other one. If you assault one of them, every single guard is going to make sure that you're on NC status, which means you have nothing coming. They're going to make sure your food's cold, you don't get no supplies. They'll literally make sure you're the last person fed. And that's if they want to give you your tray. Does this happen in prison? It actually does a lot. At least at USP where I was at. Normally they don't hit them though. What they do is they spray poop on them.
Ugh.
Yes, you heard me right. They poop in a bottle, they heat it up,
No.
and they make sure they put Vaseline in it and they get it as hot as possible and they spray it
Oh.
at you. It gets so hot that if
That
you
is
try to
sick.
wipe it off, it will just scorch your skin. It makes you look like you're melting, and that's facts.
Then everyone is going to be pissed at you in the pot for making it hot.
His face on the mountain like the sun, it did glow. Jesus' face like the sun, it did glow. One day, look, his garment became white as the snow. His garment became white as the snow. His face on the mountain like the sun, it did glow. Jesus' face like the sun, it did glow. One day, look, his garment became white as the snow. His garment became white as the snow.
You know, the music has striking resemblance to Sundanese music in Java Island, Indonesia, which where my mother lives. Search it up.
Used anime to try and take over the world. People. This guy
No
became
way.
an influencer and brainwashed every single one of his cult members to do. He tried to portray himself as this messiah that would teach people how to conquer their spirituality, how to reach levels of consciousness that are above everyone else, how to find Zen. What he did to portray himself in these supernatural states, he would make propaganda to feed the entire population of Japan. One of the things being anime. They made animes of him being depicted pretty much like Jesus, levitating, doing all these miracles, but people started believing it, which is wild. Asahara, this cult, it's called Om Shinriko. He had over probably like 40,000 people worldwide. That's how big his cult got. What made him so smart though, he didn't just try to get anybody in his cult. What he tried first.
No, because did everybody just forget about this insane sinkhole that they discovered in China like 2 years ago? Or am I the only one that remembers this? In 2022, they literally like discovered one of the largest sinkholes on Earth. And it seems like they give us this information, then they just don't tell us anything else about it. Like they want us to forget. Like it's like in a way they have to tell us, but they just, after that, it just always get forgotten. Like even when the government came out with that whole statement about extraterrestrials, why is that not talked about anymore? Or is it just people just don't care because there's really nothing we can do about it, or what? But this was crazy to me because this sinkhole was over 630 feet deep, y'all. And they believe it was the span of 3 football fields combined. And it was said to have like an ancient forest inside with prehistoric trees. And scientists believe that it was all kinds of undiscovered plants and animals that they believe to have been ancient creatures and plants that we've never even heard about. So you mean to tell me that there was ancient creatures in this hole and nobody is talking about that? It's still there. And the trees were like hundreds of feet tall. And my thing is, why are those trees that big? Like what's in there? Are there dinosaurs in there that's eating from these trees or what? Like I'm still confused on why this haven't been talked about enough, because whenever they first released this was all over my For You page. Everybody was talking about it. But I just don't understand how it's like so easy for people to forget this stuff, or like, do we just stop caring because there's really nothing we can do? But this stuff is just freaks me out. Like a sinkhole, one of the biggest discovered on Earth, with outer worldly stuff inside. People believe that this was like an entrance to Agartha, the inner Earth theory. I don't know, but I just want to know, like, what is the update? Like, have they discovered any more stuff that they haven't told us about? Or have they released some more stuff? I just haven't seen it because this was in China or what? Let me know, like, because I really would like to know what happened. Like, this happened like 2 years ago. I made a video about it and everything. Like, all the conspiracy theorists was talking about it, but it's just blown in the wind. Like, no one knew about it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, because this was crazy.
As above, so below. This is an ancient, untainted world. The trees aren't that big simply because they are supposed to be. That's how our trees used to be, if not bigger. Don't go anywhere because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to back.
People in places from your past are portals to older versions of you. That's why when you come home to visit your family, you find yourself bickering with your family the exact same way you did when you were a teenager, because they also think that you're a teenager.
People are portals. And so the people that have known you the longest are portals to old versions of yourself. I completely agree with this concept. I really like Victoria, and I love all of her content. But I wanted to use this video and this concept to dig into how that affects artists and creative people. As a creative person, you have a default audience programmed into your brain. And what I mean by that is when you go to create something, let alone when you go to share something that you've made, who are the people whose opinions are taking up space in your brain? You know, it could be people that you want to appease, people that you hope see your work and like it, or it could be people that you do not want to see your work. People you went to high school with, your family members, like people that you are afraid of their criticism and or just them seeing this part of you that would feel uncomfortable. Okay? People are portals. Through people, through our perception of other people's opinions of us, we put ourselves into a teeny tiny little box. And this makes a creative person so afraid to put themselves out there because they don't want to be judged. But who don't we want to be? Like, what's that actually boil down to? It boils down to whoever is your default audience, because in some way, shape, or form, you want their validation.
I like that.
And maybe an old version of yourself never got that validation from them. So now, as a grown adult, it feels scary to put your art on Instagram because you don't want a specific person to come across it. But why the think not, because that specific person knows an old version of you and you're not that person anymore. But by being afraid of this person's opinion, it keeps you in that box of being an old version of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So when you choose to do the brave thing and post on Instagram anyways, share your art anyways, you are giving yourself permission to pick yourself up out of that little box that you've put yourself in. You are literally changing your identity and you're changing the way you perceive yourself. And you're giving yourself permission to see yourself as an artist. When you go to post online, when you go to create something and share something, even in real life, it doesn't have to be online. But social media is a really good microcosm for this phenomenon. The phenomenon of the default audience in our little brains. However, most importantly, you have the power to change your default audience that lives in your brain. Instead of thinking about the people that you went to high school with when you go to like write your poetry, let's start thinking about the people that you would actually want to read your poetry. And the odds are good that those people are a younger version of you or just a similar kind of person to you. Who are the girlies that are going to read your poetry, love it, and see themselves in it? Think about those people when you're going to make your art and share your art. Who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal audience member? And then program them into your brain. Okay? Because those people need this version of you. When we think about people from our past, it keeps us in a past version of ourselves.
Makes so much sense, but I don't care what people think. As you can see, I say what I say.
So let me get this straight. They are saying that the Antarctic anomaly allegedly popped back up yesterday. And coincidentally, in Cape Town, this morning, it's snowing. And that's not all. That's just one of many things I'm going to show you. By the way, this summer there's been snow all over the world for some reason. Around the same exact time, skies have been red in Europe, showing a red rainbow, which is freaking bizarre. This looks like a giant warning to me, but I don't know. During a thunderstorm, I have never in my life seen anything like this. Craziest part, the earthquakes are going freaking insane. This is 7 days worth. Go on Google and type in earthquakes and look at the last few hours, all the big earthquakes going off. I'm not surprised California is so heavy on this list. Eventually, Sky, it'd be nice if you put that model back up. But I'm hearing now that there's other models that you can see it on, and there's also other clues you can look for. But we'll get into that later. Let me know your thoughts below.
There will be signs in the heavens and on earth. Crisis around the corner, my brother and sister. Get ready.
So Nietzsche asks us, why are so many of the great philosophers chaste? They don't have wives. Kant, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, Rousseau. I mean, Socrates had a wife, but Socrates literally chose the most annoying woman he could find to test his resolve, right? So that doesn't really count. So that's the question. Why do philosophers not get married? And I think Nietzsche has a very interesting answer here. It's because most people get married to have progeny, to have kids, right? To have their name live on. But the philosopher already has a channel for his name to live on, and it's through his books. So again, it's not like the philosopher is more enlightened. It's not like the philosopher no longer cares about his name living on after his own death. It's that he's found a better will-to-power route to exercise that same desire.
Here's a question that really messed me up. What if everything that you're going through right now is preparing you for exactly what you asked for? That heartbreak, it's teaching you self-love, boundaries, standards. That failure, it's showing you where to improve. It's naturally shifting your circle. That setback, it's redirecting you to something even better. We're so quick to label our struggles as punishment when they might just be preparation. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try, what is this teaching me?
Ooh.
Believe me, your
There you
future
go.
self will thank you for it.
Agree. Challenges are blessing in disguise.
So y'all, these migrants are getting worse, and a lot of the media is not covering it. A 19-year-old Venezuelan migrant just literally shot 2 police officers in New York City, NYPD, at point blank. He shot them at point blank range. Now they have him in custody and he's being charged. But what they are saying is that he basically is stating that a gang is instructing him to shoot at cops. Now we know what has happened in Aurora, Colorado. If y'all don't know, it's not even happening in just Aurora. Now it's transferring to even Denver, Colorado. What is happening is
crazy.
There are squatter laws in Colorado, and what squatter laws are, the fact that they even still exist in Colorado and it is legal, it blows my mind. The apartment building in Colorado was actually condemned because of the code violations. Now, what tenants was saying is that they were threatening the management or the people that was over the building and not allowing staff to come into the building to like fix it up and things of that nature. Sanctuary city. So Colorado is a sanctuary city, and what that does is it limits. I don't know how much of it is true, but I heard that they were waiting for the older tenants to move out, and then they would move in other tenants and would be taking the money and rent from those tenants. Now, also in Denver, I'm hearing that they broke into many gun stores, and they are trying to do the same thing in Denver. Not only that, we have to be mindful of who we let all of those younger age men come over to the border. We did not lock the border down. And I remember doing a video talking about the border. And here's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with immigrants coming over here, especially when they have dealt with the things that they deal with in their different countries, giving them an opportunity. That's not the point. But the proper thing to do is literally making sure we are coming over their background. Without proper management, this makes no sense. And when I talked about it last time, a lot of people was in my comments trying to come for me. But look, now y'all see what is happening. And then the media is not even reporting or even trying to talk about this. They're trying to push this under the rug. But not only that, the resources that our country is spending on these migrants that have came over, we already know with the EBT and how they have been supportive to these migrants who have came over into our country blows my mind in itself. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother conversation. Don't nobody want to talk about this stuff unless it's on your own doorstep. Oh yeah, let them come over, do this. They benefit, da. But when it's on your own doorstep, then you gonna have a problem with it. It has been said that these Venezuelan gangs are getting worser. I've even been hearing that there is an apartment building also in Dallas, Texas. Something similar to what has happened in Aurora, Colorado is happening with these Venezuelan gangs. I went to try to research it and look. I didn't find anything, but I think the name is called Versailles or something like that, apartments. But if anybody is in Dallas, Texas, you know about this, please let me know because I'm on the heels of this, okay? Even with the DNC that is coming up in Chicago, which is like a neighboring city to me, I believe that they will be also kicked up during this coming week because we know that there are also Venezuelan gangs and things of that nature in the Chicago area as well. Some time ago, I got on this app and I said that the Holy Spirit had led me to tell people begin to learn to pray all throughout your day, covering your cars, covering your children, covering your homes. I literally said that, covering your doorsteps, covering every area, your jobs, covering yourself in prayer. We know that prayer is a spiritual transaction. So going before the Lord and covering yourself in the blood of Jesus in everything, your cars and everything you can think of, covering yourself in the blood of Jesus in prayer, because the times that we're living in is unprecedented. We're going to see a lot more unprecedented things that will be taking place in this country. One thing for sure, they not gonna be able to go into the hoods of Chicago and do this. Because if you remember Cabrini Green, Venezuelan gangs ain't got nothing on the Cabrini Green, okay? Go research Cabrini Green. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's how you know they are targeting certain areas, because in certain areas, you're not going to be able to pull this taking over apartment building. You ain't going to be able to do that crap, not in Chi-Town. Have you heard of Chi-Town? It ain't Chicago no more. It's called the Chi-Town, okay? Ooh, the Venezuelans, people, they about to get a run for their money messing with the Chi, okay? I'm trying to tell y'all. Anyway, y'all stay prayed up because the times that we are living in is unprecedented, and you have to cover your homes, cover your areas, be wise, get you a pum-pum. I'm going to leave that alone. Some of the saints going to be mad at me, but I believe in a pum-pum. I believe in a pum-pum in this hour. I believe in that. Pum-pum and the blood of Jesus. Okay, I got to let this thing go.
Amen, sister. It's almost like Trump said this and was called racist for it.
As you're older, it's time to tell you, Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb, just like he didn't invent the electric chair. He just hired people to make them better. Now, why am I telling you all this? So you can understand the world a little bit better. Listen to this. See, usually when someone invents something, a businessman will buy that invention from them, or they'll pay them to invent something. See, Thomas Edison was that person, and he became very rich because of it. But see, Edison had a problem, and his problem's name was Tesla.
Edison had a problem.
Tesla, that boy was a bona fide genius. That boy could invent. See, Edison noticed one day that some of his patents, which basically means you own an invention and no one can sell it, that's important, weren't making as much money. Edison said, "What is going on with my stacks?" His assistant walked in and said, "Hey, you remember that boy Tesla?" Edison said, "Is this first name money?" His assistant said, "No, I don't think so." Edison said, "Just speak faster." His assistant said, "My fault. See, that boy Tesla is inventing for another company. People are buying that stuff and it's making you broke." Edison said, "Watch your mouth. Broke is a bad word around these parts." Second of all, let's get to the bottom of this. But see, it was a little more complicated than that. Tesla didn't just invent something better. He invented a better way to use electricity. But I'm a liar because it's a little more complicated than that. Listen to me. Electricity zaps things. But for it to zap things, little particles called electrons got to move. When the electrons move straight, it's called DC. When the electrons move like that, it's called AC. Tesla's like, "Yo, with AC, we powering things crazy good." Edison's like, "You right, but I sell stuff using DC." Tesla's like, "But the world's gonna be a better place with AC." Edison said, "That's true. Yo, everybody, AC sucks." Everybody said, "Nah, with DC, I was getting power outages. With AC, everything's good." Edison said, "Well, do you like dogs?" So he makes an electric chair and starts zizzing dogs. He said, "I just use AC for that. So AC must be dangerous. Use DC." This sounds insane, right? Well, I'm not finished. He then takes an elephant, zizzes it, makes a movie, calls it Zizzing an Elephant, distributes it, and says, "Say no to AC." But it wasn't working. AC, Tesla's thing, was just better and everyone knew it. So Edison steps it up a notch. Remember, he's really good at hiring people to invent things. So he secretly hires somebody to make the electric power chair better. Uses Tesla's thing, AC, and says, "Yo, they people with Tesla's thing, come buy my DC stuff." And the sad part is, this is how your world works today. There have been many possible world-changing inventions that big companies suppress, so you can buy from them. At this point, Tesla had enough, so he straps himself to a chair and zzz himself with 250,000 volts and makes it out fine. And says, "Nah, AC works well." Edison said, "Damn." So AC becomes the most widely used electric thing in the world. It powers your house and a bunch of other things. Now here's where it starts to get wicked. This was low-key the most diabolical get back of all time. See, Tesla used to work for Edison. Remember I told you, Edison hired inventors. Now Tesla was going crazy making things for Edison. One day they run into each other because Tesla was a gym rat. He was working late at night on something. Edison was like, "Damn, okay." Edison said, "What's your name, son?" He said, "My name Tesla, hold the Elon." Edison said, "Word. Hey, give this boy more money. Give him a raise." Tesla's manager said, "Got it, but is he really like that though? If you can invent this super crazy item, I'll give you $50,000. Tesla said, "I just finished it." Tesla said, "Where's my $50,000? The manager said, "I was joking." Tesla said, "Edison, your manager's scamming." Edison said, "How much he owe you?" Tesla said, $50,000. Edison said, "Do you know how much $50,000 is in 19 whatever this is?" "Nah, Tesla, you're gonna have to make that." To be fair, he could have been joking. No one knows how this actually transpired. But regardless, Tesla quits and says, I'm finna start my own company, and he does. But he doesn't make a lot of money because he may be a genius, but he's not a ruthless businessman like Edison was. So to make money, he works for another company, and that's when he does the whole AC thing. And that company owned the patent, remember that word, for his AC thing. But Tesla was okay with this. In fact, he invented so many more things for that company that the company went broke trying to pay him. So he tells the company to pay him a lot less, and he continues to help them out. This makes him go broke. And I know that sounds insane to you, but maybe this will help you understand Tesla a little bit more. Even though he was broke, he spent thousands of dollars on an invention to help a pigeon fly again. Why? Because he said he liked the pigeon. A man of passion. He also gambled away a lot of his money, but I like the first story better.
Everyone be stealing from Nikola Tesla, from Thomas Edison to JP Morgan to Elon Musk.
You're not going to believe me, but I've always held the belief that highly spiritual people have the easiest chance of making money, and I'm going to prove it to you. So a lot of times when we are highly spiritual, what happens is we're just aware. And we tend to incarnate into a life where there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of stuff for us to go through, to forget ourselves, to take on other people's burdens. And a lot of times we're abused, and we come in with neurodivergence and chronic illnesses, and we come into a pretty difficult life. And that keeps us from really being connected in our bodies. And it also keeps us from really playing full out in the 3D reality, because we see through capitalism, we see through hierarchy. It's all made up. Why am I going to do a job that I don't like so that I can make money to pay for food that's basically poison? You know, we see the whole thing, and we don't want to participate yet. Our soul chose to incarnate into this exact reality. Why? I believe it's because we can fully access our spiritual powers so that we can play life like a game. When we are already disconnected from life, when we can already see the bigger picture, when we're already basically in the 4D, if we release our judgment and resistance of making money, of asking people for more money, through our services or for a promotion or whatever it is, if we can release that resistance and heal it, and actually making money a game, we are already programmed for that. Like, we know how to jump to different belief systems. We know how to look at ourselves from a critical in a good way perspective. We know how to play the mental game and the emotional game. And if we can just focus that energy to our goal, which for some of us could be survival, and for some of us, it could be thriving. And I made a video earlier about the game of life and the missing ingredient. And I want you to watch that video. I'll try and link it if I can figure it out. I'm wearing the same outfit. Watch that video, because that is exactly how spiritual people are going to win at the game. We are going to hype up our special interests. We're going to hype up the stuff that we're obsessed about, that we can't stop talking about. We're going to dare the universe to give us more and more. We're going to ask for more and more and more until we're like, it feels a little greedy, I'm just gonna ask for more and see what happens. And you really tap into this access code with the universe, which a lot of people are not tapping into, which is life as fun, which is flirting with source, which is just asking for more, asking for this, and feel it coming to you and feeling like you deserve it. And just like that awakened energy of, and I use the word juicy because it's really juicy. It's almost like you have this ATM machine, which is the universe, and it's bringing you all sorts of things, even the stuff that you're not asking for, right? And if you keep that playful energy with it, that kind of like, okay, well, I really like this. Can you surprise me with something bigger? Can you surprise me with something I would like even more? The universe loves that energy because it's a high vibrational energy. It's not like, oh, I hate money. I hate capitalism. I hate the man. Oh, I have to work this job that I hate. I have to sell my services. It's like, well, I really like doing this, or I'm really good at doing this. Or, you know what, if I'm going to work this job that I hate, I might as well ask for more money. What are they going to do, right? I'm just going to make more money. Am I going to get a better job? That is the attitude. that's going to make the universe your personal ATM account. And that attitude comes from love. That attitude comes from appreciation. That attitude comes from gratitude. And spiritual people, if you can get over yourself, you can be the most abundant person ever.
This is a New Age teaching. But if you're in Christ Jesus, the Holy Spirit will teach you every single thing, not only spiritual matter. John 14:26.
I went from atheist to Muslim to Christian in about 5 months, so feel free to stay if you want to hear the story. 2.5 years ago, my parents came to Christ, and I myself went to church with them, but not because I loved God or because I loved Christ. I just wanted to please them and not upset them. However, I myself, I was very lukewarm, I was very confused, I was very lost. Now, at that time, I had a girlfriend. I went through a breakup and I was depressed for about 3 months, so I did not know what to do with my life or who my God was or whether I was even alive. At this point, I knew I needed some kind of spiritual help. I knew I needed God at that moment, so I started researching Islam as a result of me having a Muslim friendship group and me, seeing things on social media that influenced me towards Islam. So at that point, I took my Shahada, I started praying. It was Ramadan at the time as well, so I fasted. And throughout this time, not once did I feel some kind of encouragement or healing or communication from God. Now, I don't know if your story is different, but that's exactly what happened to me. So after about 3-4 months of praying 5 times a day, learning Quran, reciting, fasting, all of that stuff, after 3-4 months of it, I grew tired, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, you name it. So I was tired and I made the following prayer. I said, God, whoever you are, whether you're Jesus or Allah, please just bring me to the truth. Okay,
there you go.
At this time, I'd been going to church with my parents and I was secretly a Muslim. So while I was in church, I was praying to Allah. However, after I made this prayer, the following Sunday that I went to church, a worship song came on and I just felt this loving, pure, clean, joyful presence come into me. And it just said, you are forgiven, my child. You are found. You are loved. I am the truth. I am Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
Now, from this point on, I started crying. I started crying like a baby, tears rolling down my face, all of that ugly snot, everything. And I had never felt a peace like that in my life. The moment I walked out of church, I felt so calm, so relaxed. My mind was at ease. I no longer was worrying about X or Y or Z. I was so calm. I was forgiving. I was loving. Now, since then, I've made mistakes, that's without a doubt, but I've grown spiritually, grown mentally, and ultimately, I've gotten a relationship with God. I communicate with God. I do not have a mute God or an absent God. My God is alive. He is active. He is Jesus Christ.
Amen,
and He's King of Kings, the Alpha, the Omega. So listen, if you're confused about your faith and you don't know what to follow, what to believe, I am not here to convince you. I am just here to tell you to make that prayer. Whoever you are, God, just lead me to the truth. And at that point, God, who is true, who is real, who is active, will reveal himself to you.
Yep.
Just seek him with your whole heart and truly want to know who God is. He's going to reveal himself to you. And yeah, I don't believe in coincidences. So if this is your situation and you've come across this sign, then, use it wisely.
Make sure you're sincere and humble when you say that prayer. And thank you, Jesus Christ, for saving my brother.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
I'm going to play a recording of people chanting, "That is embarrassing," 4 times. After the 4th time, write down what you hear. Interesting. Almost everyone here heard that is embarrassing. Okay?
And I have an acronym I call Mrs. G. MRSG. Mid-Journey, Runway, because some people you writing, Suno, Gamma, ChatGPT, and then Mrs. G. Mid-Journey, Runway, Suno, Gamma. With those 5, whatever you are doing right now, you can do better. Whatever you're doing right now, you can dominate. You can go faster. You can save money. You can make what you already are doing more beautiful, more impactful.
ChatGPT, Mrs. G, Mid-Journey, Gamma, Runaway, and Suno.
Anytime you see a circle letter like an O or an A, and you're seeing entanglements in the letter, loops going in, loops going out, could be in an A like this. Entanglements in circle letters are signs of secrecy, deception, and even intentional lying. Circle letters should be uncontaminated, meaning they should be circles. They shouldn't have a whole bunch of stuff hidden inside them. And if you're putting this kind of formation with felon's clause, you've got a really problematic person that you're dealing with. Dangerous stuff. Be careful of this. And if it's in your own writing, remove it, and it'll disappear from your personality.
And the Power Glove was one of those things in the 80s that you wanted it so bad because they did such good advertising. You're like, it's a glove and it's so cool. And you can't afford it, and you can't get your blue-collar parents to afford it. But some rich kid at school gets it, and you go to his house, and you see how big of a piece of shit failure the Power Glove was. It's one of the worst things that has ever been made. And in fact, our friend, Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre, has one of the greatest videos you've ever seen from like 14 years ago. It has like 100 million views where he has a Power Glove and like plays games with it and shows you how bad it is. And in fact, I will never stop talking about this movie ever, 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Please watch it this Christmas.
Okay.
Because 8-Bit Christmas perfectly describes the Power Glove and this time frame of life. Like, it's so awesome.
Okay.
It is so awesome.
There was one kid, and that thing would collect dust. And even in the movie, you're watching Lucas, and he's kind of doing
He's, like,
this thing.
steering with it.
And he's kind of like steering with it, right? But then he goes like this, and the car goes that way, and you're just like, okay, now, okay, guys, you're really, really trying to sell this.
But like, what do we think about Lucas in general?
It's like, dude, this kid was like in the commercial for Crossfire, that game, right?
Yeah.
Like, like that's what. Crossfire.
Great call,
Like,
dude.
that is Lucas to a T, man.
I think the 80s is the coolest year.
This is the current ongoing case of the doctor in Kolkata that has been viciously gang essayed and murdered, and how the hospital and the police seem to be covering it up. The Kolkata police, they start investigating. So they look at all these different CCTV cameras to narrow down the list to even know who's in the building at the time of the crime, because that's going to be helpful. They do have one piece of evidence. This is the only piece of evidence that the Kolkata police claim that they have. An earbud. A Bluetooth earbud that was left at the crime scene. The phone belongs to a man named Sanjay Roy. And they start investigating Sanjay because he's claiming that wasn't me. I didn't do it. I mean, that's my Bluetooth earbud, but that's not me. This is where it gets weird. It has been reported that Sanjay Roy could not have done this alone. Many netizens believe that there must have been at least 8 people that were involved in Dr. D's assault and murder. It's been reported that 150 grams of liquid biological fluids, semen, was extracted from Dr. D's body. One doctor, Dr. Goswami, stated that quantity cannot be of one person. It suggests that involvement of multiple people. Some netizens argued that one singular person can only produce about 15 grams of fluids, and that's being quite generous. I tried to look into it. The conversions are confusing, and obviously it's quite theoretical. I don't think that there's a firm study or number. It's quite subjective. But it would seem 2 to 5 grams of fluid would be produced per each ejaculation. Now, netizens have done some similar number crunching, and they state that one person can produce approximately 5 to 6 grams in that time frame, even if they expel the fluids 2 to 3 times, because it's not going to be the same amount each time. Typically, the amount decreases as the frequency goes up. Meaning, if it were true that 150 grams of biological fluids were found in her system, in her uterus, then there could be as many as 8 people that essayed and killed her.
Tragic and senseless. My heart goes out to the victims and loved ones.
Brain scientists finally discovered the glue that makes memories stick for a lifetime. A long-running research endeavor reveals a key chemical component that helps cement memories in place and challenges previous research in a way that I'm going to try my best to summarize, but we're about to get into some biochemistry here. Absolutely love this image of a neuron, though. This is probably one of the most accurate neuron images I have ever seen. It even includes all the receptors on both ends. So very, very fun. So the persistence of long-term memory is core to our identity, and one of the things that they discovered in the 1970s was something called LTP, or long-term potentiation, which kind of just indicates the synaptic strength has increased in order to maintain a memory. So in search of molecules that enable LTP, the 2 main contenders are PKM-zeta, or protein kinase M-zeta, and then there's also another one we'll talk about a little bit later down here called KEBRA, which is kidney and brain expressed adapter protein. Now, we've known for a long time that PKM-zeta is very important for forming memories, but it's a short-lived molecule, and you need other molecules to bind to your neurons in order to make these memories last. So we started studying other things, and they did find out that PKM zeta works alongside another molecule, the Kebra, which attaches the synapses activated during learning, effectively tagging them or locking them, so to speak. And experiments have shown that blocking the interaction between these molecules abolishes long-term potentiation or ability to form memories in neurons in mice. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting here is that there was a 2013 study that showed that genetically engineered mice who don't even have the ability to make PKM zeta could form long-term memories. And they sort of thought they were blowing a hole in this, but then they found trace amounts of this compound in the brain anyway, and it was very, very complicated. But what we basically have found in the study is that researchers used two different molecules to block PKM zeta and Kebra from interacting, and they showed that both of these blockers only prevent PKM zeta from attaching to Kebra, and neither stop any of these other molecules, which I've very quickly kind of skipped over here for the sake of all of our sanity, from doing so. The big conclusion is that there was no getting away from the fact that PKM zeta is critical. You can block it, you can inhibit, you can do things with it, but this chemical compound, one way or another, however you want to cut it, is extremely important for the long-term potentiation of neurons to bind together and to form memories. So what this isn't is a simple, like, one-shot, a single memory molecule that solves everything. And we do form memories that don't depend on PKM zeta. It's hard to completely remove it from our body, even if you're genetically engineering mice, which is kind of wild. But what it does allow us to do is definitively say that these 2 or 3 molecules are extremely important for the long-term communication of neurons. And now that we truly know that, we know kind of what we're looking for, the real work can begin. My God, that was a tough one. Guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, that was a very tough one to try to summarize in just a few minutes here. I feel like I went on forever.
The Shroud.
And you know what? I think it's all about emotion too. If you want to remember, feel graceful, and enjoy every moment, even when learning, is how core memories happen.
Shroud of Turin is supposedly the shroud that when Jesus was taken off the cross, he was put in this shroud and put in the tomb. It was first discovered in like the 1300s. It's always been dismissed, but the evidence that they've collected recently, a man that was actually atheist set out to do a documentary proving that it's a hoax, and they found out that the fabric is indeed from Israel, and it dates back 2,000 years ago.
Whoa.
When you do the x-ray and you get the negative image of it, you can see where the blood stains were, and it's on his hands, his feet, on his head, and where his side was stabbed by the spear.
Oh my gosh.
After doing this investigation on it, he's now a Christian.
Wow.
And they also said they were able to extract creatine and something else, which your body puts out when it's in stress. So they say, like, a lot of torture victims, they excrete this stuff out of their skin and in their blood. And so they were able to find traces of that in it as well.
Wow.
He said there's no way someone could have faked this. They put it into AI and, like, made it look like this is what Jesus probably looked like.
A woman
Crisis Gang!
who paid $40 extra for her specific seat on a flight had a dad try to guilt trip her into switching seats. So this woman, named Riley, says she always pays extra to have a specific seat. On this flight, she'd upgraded to a window seat near the front of the plane. While she was settling in, she saw a couple walk over with 2 kids that were between about the ages of 5 and 10 years old. She felt someone grab her shoulder, and it was the dad in the family. He had learned that no one was sitting in the middle seat of the row behind Riley. That dad then demanded that Riley move to the middle seat in the row behind her so that the family could all sit together. Riley explained to him that she had plane anxiety and needed to sit next to a window to alleviate it, but her real concern was that she didn't want to sit between 2 people, especially after she'd paid extra for the right not to. Also, there's a better way to ask someone to switch seats on a plane, with ask being the key word. Lick Henderson, managing editor at The Points Guy, advised that people wanting to swap seats should make sure that the seat they are trading is at least equal to or better than the seat that they will receive. Swapping a cozy window seat for a middle one a row back? Definitely a downgrade. The dad was upset when Riley had no plans to move seats, and she told him that he could maybe move and sit in the middle seat behind so that the mom and the kids could at least sit together. Because he had the audacity, this made the dad even more upset, and he went on a rant about how this generation just doesn't care about families. Riley tuned him out and refused to move. Ultimately, it's perfectly acceptable to ask someone to switch seats, but making demands? Better buy those seats altogether in the first place. What would you do in this woman's situation?
Some people don't even know how to ask properly. But I don't think it's acceptable to ask because you know what seats you're buying before you get there.
I'll just get the demons to tell you that abortion is murder and not your political opinion. When I do exorcisms, a lot of times people are like, I'm liberal. And I'm like, I can't do an exorcism. And they're like, what do you mean?
What?
I'm not a Christian. They're like, what do you? Yes, I am a Christian. I'm
There's
like,
no
you just said
liberal
you're
Christian.
liberal. And they're like, I'm a liberal Christian. I'm like, those don't exist. There's no such thing as a Christian who votes to murder babies. Like that, there's something wrong with the foundation of what you're saying. 7 hours into one of them, this lady tells me, we keep hearing murder, all this stuff. And she's like, I've never murdered anyone. I was like, do you ever have an abortion? She's like, well, no. I was like, did you ever take a morning after pill when you thought you might be? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that demons think that's murder. There was probably a baby conceived that you didn't know about and you murdered it. And her face just turns white. I'm like, I'm not trying to shame you or anything. Like, it's all covered by the blood of Christ. It's in the sea of forgetfulness. But this is a sin that they have against you. They filed a lawsuit against you in the courts of heaven. Jesus stamped it, said, yeah, that was a legitimate murder. And now they're literally assigned to you like a case because of what happened.
This goes deeper than most churches that don't touch real spiritual warfare.
ARPA, which is that technology weapon company that say they're 20 years ahead of us and stuff. Basically what they've done throughout history and how they literally use humans and don't care if they live or die just to test out stuff. Yeah. And he talked about like the Vietnam War and the chemicals that they used on them. Terrible, terrible stuff.
Agent Orange?
Agent Orange. This chemical called Agent Orange. They would spray it over the forest in Vietnam and it would kill all the trees. But also giving everyone just terrible cancer and just all these crazy, crazy things.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of that.
It's not just a couple guys.
You had soldiers.
It decimates everything. It's chemical. And then you go in and you're walking through it all. So you're literally getting all the exposure.
That's
During the
crazy.
Geneva Convention, right? They banned chemical warfare.
Right.
And the U.S. is like, okay, yeah, but that's not a chemical. It's a pesticide, I think they said. And so they just can continue using it.
Of course.
Stuff they used in that war, like the flamethrower. Shout out to all the Vietnam vets.
And veterans generally.
Okay, sir, is that all? Yeah, that's it. All right, you paying with cash or card? Card.
Yeah.
Everything okay, sir? Yeah, just trying to get my card out. I'm trying to grab it at like an angle. Damn, this one taking long as shit. Yo, bro, do you have to breathe on my neck, bro? I'm literally like 4 feet away from you, man. I'm 4 feet away from you. I don't know what you want me to do. Make this wallet, Ford. Damn, this one taking long as shit. Give me up a bag of chips and a soda. Go to self-checkout. No! Hey, sir, it's fine, okay? I understand. It's okay. Understand what? Understand what? Look. Here's my car. I'm literally trying to get you my car. I'm not trying to get over on you. It's just my wallet is tight. It's tight. Like, everything all right over here? Man, get out of here, man. No, just making sure, man. You've been in this line a while. Y'all not gonna do this to me. I'm trying to get my card. Like, I'm looking, bro.
Leave him alone,
Breathe on my
bro.
neck again. 4 feet. Breathe on my neck again. It's 4 feet between us. Listen, sir, we don't have to do this, okay? Listen, I remember what it's like to be broke. Bro, it's okay. Like, you don't... talking about broke, bro. All right, that's enough. Come on. No, because you trying to call me. You gotta go, sir. These are all ones. Sir. It's not even enough. I'm trying to get my card. It's not even enough. Come on. Literally stuck. You gotta go.
These are all ones, sir. It's not even enough. That's funny. All right, folks. Thank you for staying till the end. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to like or dislike so I can make a better content. There's a free gift below. And if you want to buy me coffee or support me through Patreon, the links are in the description below. Have a prosperous day and God bless.